What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Joey Malari. So tonight is the MLB Home Run Derby. I'm going to give you a breakdown of the entire bracket, talk about the participants, all 8 of them, how they're hitting this year, if they've been in the Home Run Derby or not before. I'll give you a breakdown of the rules to start, then talk about the participants, and then give you guys my predictions before I close. So let's start off with the rules, and this comes from CBSSports.com. Each contestant's given 3 minutes in the first round and 3 minutes in the second round to hit as many home runs as they can. After the second round, though, contestants just get 2 minutes in the final round to try to hit as many home runs as they can. So rather than 3 minutes in the first 2 rounds, it's just 2 minutes in the third round, which is the finals. Each contestant gets a bonus period of 30 seconds added on at the end of each regulation period, and they can earn another 30 seconds if they hit 2 home runs 440 feet. So that's the distance right there that you want to reach to get an extra 30 seconds on top of the 30-second window that everybody gets. 440 feet is that number. Each contestant gets one 45-second timeout during each regulation period, which a lot of the time guys use this when they're getting exhausted and tired towards the end of rounds. Even in the middle part of the second and third rounds, when guys are getting exhausted, they will take that 45-second break just to try to regroup and get back on track. Timeouts cannot be used, though, during bonus time, so you have to use it in that 3-minute or 2-minute regulation period. Any round ending in a tie will be decided by a 60-second swing-off with no timeouts or bonus time. If there's a time after that where both players are still tied, there will be a successive 3-second swing-off until the tie is broken. There is a $2.5 million prize pool. The Home Run Derby champion gets a cool $1 million overall, and then the other $1.5 million is split up between the person that comes in second as the runner-up and the rest of the contestants. With it being all about timing rather than outs like it used to be, it is much more tiring and much more eventful, though, at the same time. So that's why with the new rules, with it being timing, players do get a lot more tired now than they would have when it used to be just being outs. You could get as many swings as you wanted in that time window. There was no time limit, so you could take your time in between pitches, and you would definitely take your time in between each swing. Unlike now, with it being timed, you're just kind of trying to beat the clock and get as many swings off as possible during that 2 or 3 minute time window, whether it's the first and second rounds where it's 3 minutes or the third round where it's 2 minutes. You're just trying to get as many swings off as possible to try to hit the most amount of home runs that you can. So one thing to note is that in 6 of the last 7 derbies, an NL player has won the derby, but only 2 contestants in this year's pool are from the NL. So National League players in the past have won 6 of the last 7, but there's only 2 in this year's Home Run Derby. So let's now break down the participants and who is in it. Starting off with the number 1 overall seed, Luis Robert Jr. of the Chicago White Sox. On the year, he has 26 home runs, a .271 batting average, and an .899 OPS. Heading into this year, the most home runs that Robert hit in a single season was 13. He already has 26 home runs this season, so already doubled his previous single-season high in home runs, which is very impressive. Just really need to stay healthy, though. That was really the difference so far in his career. He's shown he has the power and the talent. It's just about staying healthy. The longest home run of his career is 487 feet, which he hit in the 2020 AL wildcard round. So obviously the 440 feet benchmark that you have to hit to try to get an extra 30 seconds on top of the 30-second bonus pool they give you already. He'll probably get that very easily. His career long, as I said, 487 feet. His long on the season is 450 feet. This is the first time a White Sox player has been in the Home Run Derby since Todd Frazier was in it in 2016. For Luis Robert Jr., though, this is a guy with pure power and pure strength. Definitely will be a guy that I'm excited to see in tonight's Home Run Derby. I think he's going to win it. That's my prediction as of now. I'm going to give you a breakdown of my predictions, though, right before I close, but he is my winner in this year's Home Run Derby. So the second overall seed is Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, the betting favorite right now on just about every sports betting app. Even though he's the number 2 overall seed, he's the betting favorite, and partly is because he is a 2-time Home Run Derby winner already, winning both the Home Run Derby in 2019 and 2021. If Alonso were to win in tonight's Home Run Derby, he would just be the second player all-time in MLB Home Run Derby history to win 3 different Home Run Derbies. The only other player to ever do so is the great Ken Griffey Jr. So if Alonso were to do it tonight, he would join elite class with Ken Griffey Jr. as the only players ever to win 3 different Home Run Derbies. So Alonso on the season has been raking home runs-wise. He has 26 home runs on the season, but for average, he's hitting just .211. He has been struggling at the plate overall. Alonso, though, is a guy that's definitely going to hit that 440 benchmark to get an extra 30 seconds. Alonso actually holds the 4th longest home run ever in a home run derby at 514 feet, which he hit that in 2021. His longest home run of the 2023 season is 448 feet, and he did hit a ball once 489 feet in a real game in the MLB on July 17th, 2019. That's the longest home run of his career. The only other player that is even close to that in an in-game home run in the home run derby contest in this year's pool is Luis Robert, who hit about 487 feet, which I already talked about in the AL wildcard game in 2020. So Pete Alonso, very impressive. Obviously, all the power he has. He has the build and size to be a prime slugger in the home run derby, and obviously he's shown that in the last 3 home run derbies. He's been in all 3 of them, winning in 2019, winning in 2021, and then losing in a very exciting semifinals matchup last year with Julio Rodriguez, who hit 31 home runs in the semifinals to beat him. Julio and him will actually match up in the first round, so that's obviously something to look forward to in tonight's home run derby. Alonso has hit 174 home runs in the 3 home run derbies he's been in, which is the most all-time in the history of the home run derby. So that's obviously something to watch out for, and he's going to even add to that more tonight. So the number 3 seed is the great Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Everybody that knows me knows I love Mookie Betts, and I'm a big fan of him. He was actually at plus 2,200 for NL MVP just a week ago when I recorded an episode and said that I thought he was going to make a run at the NL MVP. And now he's at plus 650 with 9 home runs in his last 15 games. And in that 15-game stretch, the Dodgers are 10-5, 10 wins, 5 losses, and Betts has 9 home runs in those 15 games with 19 RBIs, a 365 batting average, a 471 on base percentage, a 1039 slugging percentage, a 1510 OPS with 8 doubles and 7 strikeouts to 13 walks, so 6 more walks than he has strikeouts in those 15 games. On the season, Mookie has 26 home runs. His average is already up to 276, and he has a 586 slugging percentage and a 964 OPS. He's been unreal over the last month. And Mookie did say in an interview yesterday that he doesn't really think he has a chance in this year's home run derby. He said, let's be real. I'm not a power guy. Do I have some home runs? Sure. So here's the thing about Mookie. He has everything on his resume but a home run derby. And that's what his wife told him. His wife said to him, hey, you've done everything you've wanted to in your career. Why not add to your resume and participate in a home run derby? And that's why Mookie's doing it. So Mookie's saying that, let's be real, I'm not a power guy. Do I have some home runs? Sure. He's kind of underestimating his own ability. Maybe that helps at the end of the day, so other people are sleeping on him and nobody thinks he has the ability to go out and win. That could be part of it. But there's no way Mookie is going into this just saying, hey, let's just have some fun. I don't really care if I win. He's a competitor. He wants to win at the end of the day. He knows he's a very talented player. He has to know that, especially considering how good he's been over his career. And obviously right now with the Dodgers, this is the best he's looked in a Dodgers uniform. He's been very hot over the last month. This is a guy that has all the talent in the world. And that's why I don't really buy into the, let's be real, I'm not a power guy. I understand he doesn't have the same physical attributes that all these other guys have in the home run derby, the big guys that all have pure muscle and big power and everything. But Mookie has 26 home runs like the rest of these guys. And yeah, sure, some of these home runs he's hitting aren't going 470 feet like the rest of some of these guys can hit in game. But Mookie's shown in his career he can hit long home runs. He hit a 452-foot home run, which is career long in 2018. His career long on the year this year is 426 feet. Mookie did say that all his home runs go 382 feet. But at the end of the day, the way I see it, that doesn't really hurt him in real games. If you get a home run, it goes 380 feet and gets over the fence, or it goes 420 feet, it's still a home run regardless. Mookie is a pure swing with underestimated pop. That's why I think tonight he definitely is going to surprise people. According to ESPN, no one has ever participated in the home run derby at 5'9" or shorter and 180 pounds or less. And Mookie is both of those. Mookie is just 5'9", 170 pounds, so he does not have the build of a home run derby champion. But at the end of the day, he has the heart and the competitiveness to go out there and win. Even if he's saying, oh, I don't really think I have a shot, I don't really buy into that. He does say he doesn't hit as many long home runs as the rest of these guys, so it might be hard to reach the 440-foot mark to try to get the extra 30 seconds. But I think he's very capable of hitting that 440 mark. I think he's going to do it tonight. I think he's going to surprise people. One thing about Mookie is that his average home run distance on the year is just 397 feet, which is concerning for some people about him not getting that 440-foot benchmark for extra time. But I think he's capable of it. If you look at Mookie, obviously there's other guys in this home run derby that are much bigger and stronger. 5 of the other 7 competitors in the home run derby, with it being Julio Rodriguez, Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman, Luis Robert Jr., and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., all 5 of those guys are at least 5 inches taller than him and 40 pounds heavier. But at the end of the day, Mookie still has the same ability in game as those guys. He has 26 home runs, and he's an NL MVP candidate right now at the end of the day, regardless of his size. I know the home run derby is much different than hitting for average, hitting for OPS, being a 5'2" player. At the end of the day, if you just have pure power and a pure swing, you can win the home run derby. But Mookie, I think, is underestimating himself and his ability. And one thing I want to point out is from Yahoo Sports. They said over the last 3 seasons, 36 of Mookie Betts' 81 home runs, so that's 44.4% of his home runs over the last 3 seasons, have been estimated at 400 feet or more by StatCast. Other competitors in the home run derby, such as Pete Alonso, Vlad Guerrero Jr., and Luis Robert, soar over 400 feet on more than 60% of their home runs. So obviously, at the end of the day, he's probably not going to hit the longest home run of the night, Mookie. He's not going to hit the longest home run of the night. But I do think he's underestimating himself and his ability. So I'll get into talking more about Mookie when we get to predictions. So the number 4 seed is a Texas Ranger, and that is Adolis Garcia. He's had a very interesting career, Garcia. He was designated for assignment twice in his career, once by his current team, the Texas Rangers, in 2020 during the shortened COVID season. He ended up staying in the Texas minor league system before breaking out in their starting lineup in 2021 and making a name for himself. The first time he was designated for assignment was with the St. Louis Cardinals, when they gave up on him after he was hitting very well in the minor leagues for 3 years for them. But after not really doing well, getting called up to the show, ends up getting DFA'd, and then ends up going to Texas, was DFA'd by them as well. He did play in the minors, though, with his opponent in the first round, Randy Arozarena, in St. Louis's minor league system, and then is also a teammate of Randy Arozarena on the Cuban national team as well. So these two guys are actually playing against each other in the first round matchup of tonight's home run derby. An interesting thing about Arozarena and Garcia is that Arozarena's daughter, her godfather, is Adolis Garcia. These guys are best friends, so it's going to be an exciting matchup to watch Arozarena and Garcia go at it. As for a Texas Ranger in the home run derby, the last time a Texas Rangers won the home run derby is 30 years ago when Juan Gonzalez won it in 1993. As for Garcia, I think he's very capable of winning the home run derby, which he's shown in games this series as much power as anybody in the league. He has 23 home runs so far on the year with a 261 batting average and an 848 OPS. His longest home run on the season is 432 feet. And Garcia is actually the 3rd Texas Ranger on the last 3 home run derbies to participate. Corey Seager did it last year, and then Joey Gallo in 2021 was also another Rangers home run derby participant. So Garcia, I think he has the pure power to definitely make a run in this year's home run derby. I think he's very capable of it. I do have him beating Arozarena, but I do have him losing after that, which I'll get into my predictions in just a minute. But I do like Arozarena and Garcia to be a very interesting matchup, obviously with those two guys being really good buddies. So that'll be something to watch out for there with Garcia and Arozarena. As for Garcia, I think he's very capable of winning the home run derby. Would not be surprised if he makes a deep run and makes a bigger name for himself in this year's contest. So next up is the number 5 seed, and that is Tampa Bay's Randy Arozarena. Per MLB.com, Arozarena is just the 3rd Rays player to partake in the home run derby ever, and is the first to do so since Carlos Pena was in the home run derby in 2009. Arozarena stands at 5'11", 185 pounds, but he has pure power and a pure swing. 16 home runs on the year with a 279 batting average and 855 OPS. His career long for a home run is 445 feet, which he hit in 2021. His season long is 436 feet. I think Arozarena is a very good player. I do think Garcia has more power, though, and that's why I've Garcia beating him in the first round. The number 6 overall seed is Blue Jays slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vlad actually hit 40 home runs in the 2019 semifinals round in the home run derby, which is actually the most still in a single round in the home run derby ever. He also holds the most home runs in a single home run derby ever with 91 total. As for what he's been doing on the season, not really the hottest start to the season home runs-wise for him. He has just 13 home runs on the year and only has 3 home runs at home at the Rogers Center. He only hit his first on June 23rd. He started the year a little bit slow with home runs. Per MLB.com, Guerrero Jr. is actually the American League leader in hot hit balls with 161 balls hit 95 miles per hour or hotter, which at the end of the day, that is much greater than any other participant in this year's home run derby. His next closest is Mookie Betts at 135 hot hit balls 95 miles per hour or hotter. So 161 for Guerrero, 135 for Betts. As for what Guerrero's done so far on the season for a season long in home runs, 450 is his longest home run on the season. Next up is the 7th overall seed, and that is Mariners outfielder Julio Rodriguez, who was very successful in last year's home run derby. He actually was the only player ever in the home run derby with 30 home runs in multiple rounds. He had multiple 30 home run rounds in last year's home run derby. Also with 81 home runs in the derby last year, which is actually the second most ever in a single home run derby. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. holds the most ever at 91 home runs in 2019. Rodriguez's 81 last year was the second most ever in a single home run derby. He did fall, though, in the finals last year to Juan Soto. His season long for a home run is 454 feet, and he has 13 home runs on the season with a 721 OPS so far at the halfway mark. As for one thing to talk about with Julio Rodriguez that's interesting, he's hitting at T-Mobile Park, his home field, and obviously he's going to be hitting in front of a lot of Mariners fans at tonight's home run derby. So that's one thing that's going to be in his favor. There's going to be a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm in that crowd around him. So he's going to be excited, I'm sure, and he's going to want to put on a show for those fans. The number 8 overall seed is young Orioles star Adley Rutschman, is a catcher. His longest home run on the season, he hit yesterday, 461 feet versus the Minnesota Twins yesterday. Rutschman is a switch hitter. No switch hitters have ever won the home run derby. He can start out being righty in the first round if he wants, and let's say he wins the first round, he can go lefty after that. He can switch in between righty and lefty as much as he wants. On the season, Rutschman has 12 home runs with a 799 OPS. He's been a bright spot for the Baltimore Orioles team and has definitely contributed to their hot start to the season halfway through. Rutschman being a catcher, that's pretty rare to see a catcher in the home run derby. Salvador Perez was in the home run derby in 2021. Gary Sanchez was in it in 2017. And Joe Mauer was in it in 2009. Those are just the only 3 catchers to participate in the home run derby in the last 14 of them. Now, Rutschman adds on to the list, being the 4th one to do so since 2009. So there's not many catchers, but it'll be exciting to see him as a young player, and obviously has a lot of power and a lot of ability. He can definitely hit that 440 benchmark rather easily. So now I'm going to break down the matchups really quick in the first round. We got Luis Robert Jr. going up against Adley Rutschman. I have Luis Robert Jr. winning that matchup. Then we have Pete Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez. I have Pete Alonso winning that matchup. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Next up, we have Mookie Betts versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. This is going to be a hot take to most people, but I like Mookie Betts to upset Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here. I know Vlad's the bigger guy, has a lot of success in the home run derby, a lot of power, and definitely will hit that 440 benchmark easily, which will give him an extra 30 seconds and 30 more seconds than Mookie Betts if Mookie Betts can't get that 440-foot home run. But I think Mookie's underestimating his ability and his talent. I think he's just saying that just so people underestimate him and nobody really expects him to go off. I think Mookie's going to surprise a lot of people tonight with his power, and I have him beating Vlad in the first round. And then we have Adolis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. I have Adolis Garcia winning this matchup. So now in the semifinals, I have Luis Robert versus Adolis Garcia. I have Luis Robert winning that matchup. And then we have Mookie Betts versus Pete Alonso on the other side in the semifinals. I have Mookie Betts winning that matchup. So now the finals, it is Mookie Betts versus Luis Robert, and I have Luis Robert taking down Mookie Betts in the finals. I think Mookie's going to make a run tonight, though, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with his power and strength. So one question that a lot of people are wondering, who's going to hit the longest home run of the night, and how far is that going to be? My estimate right now, I'm going to go with Luis Robert Jr. hitting the longest home run of the night, and I have him hitting a home run at 508 feet. Currently, the betting line is around 488 to 490 feet. I think a home run goes over that, and I have Luis Robert Jr. hitting the longest home run. The most exciting first-round matchup, I would say, is Julio Rodriguez versus Pete Alonso. That was a great matchup last year. I think it's going to be another good one again this year. The over-under in the home run derby for total home runs is 276.5 right now. I'm going to go with the under there, but I think it's going to be a very exciting home run derby. I think it's interesting, though, Mookie Betts right now is put at just 22.5 total home runs. I think he goes over that easily. I think he could even go over that in the first round, even if he were to lose. His total home runs is at 22.5, as I said, and his chances to win the home run derby is listed right now at plus 1,200, which is 7th out of the 8 participants. I think he loses, though, in the finals to Luis Robert Jr., but I think Mookie's going to surprise a lot of people. Luis Robert Jr., though, he's built for a competition like this. Pure swing, probably won't get tired, and has a pure power and pure swing just to keep hacking and sending balls over the fence. So I'm going to go with Luis Robert Jr. over Mookie Betts. But everybody that's listened to this podcast before, or if you've listened to my radio show, you know I'm a big Mookie Betts fan, so I'll definitely be rooting for him tonight. As I've said now multiple times this episode, I think he's going to surprise people with his power and his ability tonight. Mookie is one of the most talented and dynamic players in the game of baseball and has been one of the best players in the game in the last 10 years. So I do think he has a lot more ability and a lot more potential and power than he gives himself credit for. So I have Mookie making a run in tonight's Home Run Derby. Just one reminder I want to say is that it starts tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. So that will conclude this episode. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. As always, I appreciate it and hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.